The Kurds, an ancient people with a rich history, have long inhabited a mountainous region spanning parts of modern-day Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Despite their distinct identity and aspirations for self-determination, the Kurds have faced numerous obstacles in their quest for an independent state. Their struggle, often referred to as the Kurdish question, has been a persistent source of regional instability. For centuries, the Kurds lived as a semi-nomadic people, their lives intertwined with the rugged terrain they called home. Their history is marked by both periods of relative autonomy and subjugation under various empires, including the Ottoman and Persian empires. However, the end of World War I marked a turning point in Kurdish history, shattering their hopes for an independent Kurdistan. The Treaty of Sèvres, signed in 1920, included provisions for a Kurdish state. However, this treaty was short-lived and ultimately replaced by the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, which made no mention of Kurdish autonomy. The Kurds, betrayed by the very powers that had promised them independence, found themselves divided among newly established nation-states. This historical betrayal has had profound and lasting consequences for the Kurdish people. The Sykes-Picot Agreement, a secret pact signed in 1916 between Britain and France, played a pivotal role in shaping the fate of the Kurds. This agreement aimed to divide the Ottoman Empire's Arab provinces between the two European powers. The Kurds, caught in the crosshairs of imperial ambitions, were relegated to the margins of this agreement. The agreement carved up Kurdish inhabited territories, dividing them among Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. This arbitrary division, drawn with little regard for ethnic or cultural boundaries, sowed the seeds of future conflicts and fueled Kurdish resentment. The Sykes-Picot Agreement's legacy continues to cast a long shadow over the Middle East. It is often cited as a prime example of Western imperialism and its role in creating artificial borders that have fueled instability and conflict. The Kurdish case highlights the human cost of these arbitrary divisions, as generations of Kurds have been denied the right to self-determination. The arbitrary division of Kurdistan and the denial of their right to self-determination ignited a strong sense of Kurdish nationalism in the 20th century. Kurdish intellectuals, writers, and activists began to articulate a vision of a unified and independent Kurdistan. This burgeoning nationalism found expression in various forms, from cultural movements to armed struggles. One of the earliest manifestations of Kurdish nationalism was the establishment of the Society for the Rise of Kurdistan in 1918. This organization aimed to promote Kurdish culture and language and advocate for Kurdish autonomy. In 1946, the short-lived Republic of Mahabad was established in Iranian Kurdistan, offering a glimmer of hope for Kurdish aspirations. Despite setbacks and repression, Kurdish nationalism continued to simmer beneath the surface, fueled by ongoing discrimination and the denial of basic rights. Turkey, home to the largest Kurdish population, has grappled with the Kurdish question for decades. The Turkish government, long fearful of Kurdish separatism, has pursued policies of assimilation and repression. This approach has backfired, fueling Kurdish resentment and leading to a protracted conflict with the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. The PKK, founded in 1978, emerged as the most prominent Kurdish armed group in Turkey. Initially advocating for an independent Kurdish state, the PKK later shifted its focus to achieving cultural and political rights for Kurds within Turkey. The group launched an armed struggle against the Turkish state in 1984, plunging southeastern Turkey into a cycle of violence. Despite numerous attempts at peace talks and ceasefires, the conflict between the Turkish state and the PKK has proven intractable. Iranian Kurdistan, located in northwestern Iran, reflects the broader challenges faced by Kurds across the region. The Kurds in Iran, like their counterparts elsewhere, have faced discrimination, cultural suppression, and political marginalization. Following the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the Kurds, hoping for greater autonomy, faced brutal repression from the newly established Islamic Republic. Despite the repressive environment, Kurdish resistance has persisted in various forms. Kurdish political parties, operating clandestinely, continue to advocate for greater cultural and political rights. The Kurdistan Free Life Party, or PJAK, an offshoot of the PKK, has waged a low-intensity insurgency against Iranian forces. The Iranian government's response to Kurdish activism has been swift and harsh, with political prisoners often subjected to torture and unfair trials. The Syrian civil war, which erupted in 2011, presented both challenges and opportunities for Syrian Kurds. As the Syrian government's control over the country crumbled, Syrian Kurds seized the opportunity to assert their autonomy. The Syrian Kurdish Democratic Union Party, or PYD, and its armed wing, the People's Protection Units, or YPG, emerged as the dominant force in Syrian Kurdistan. The YPG, facing the threat of ISIS, proved to be an effective fighting force, repelling ISIS advances and liberating large swaths of territory. The YPG's successes on the battlefield, backed by U.S. air power, earned them international recognition and support. Turkey, fearing the establishment of a Kurdish autonomous region on its southern border, launched military incursions into northern Syria, targeting the YPG. Iraqi Kurdistan stands as a unique case in the Kurdish struggle for self-determination. Following the First Gulf War in 1991, Iraqi Kurds established an autonomous region in northern Iraq, protected from Saddam Hussein's regime by a no-fly zone. The Kurdistan Regional Government, or KRG, established in 1992, has made significant strides in developing the region's economy, infrastructure, and institutions. Iraqi Kurdistan boasts a relatively stable and prosperous society, attracting foreign investment and serving as a haven for Kurds fleeing persecution in neighboring countries. However, Iraqi Kurdistan's autonomy faces internal and external challenges. Internally, the KRG has grappled with corruption, political disputes, and economic woes. Externally, the KRG's relationship with the Iraqi central government has been fraught with tension, particularly over the sharing of oil revenues and disputed territories. The Kurdish regions, strategically located at the crossroads of the Middle East, hold significant geopolitical importance. Their geographic position, rich natural resources, and potential as a bulwark against instability have made them a focal point of great power competition and regional rivalries. The Kurdish regions are endowed with vast oil and gas reserves, particularly in Iraqi Kurdistan. These resources, if properly developed and managed, could provide a significant boost to the Kurdish economy. However, control over these resources has also been a source of contention between the KRG and the Iraqi central government. The Kurdish region's strategic location has also made them a battleground for proxy wars and a haven for armed groups. The United States, seeking to counter Iranian influence in the region, has provided military support to Kurdish forces in both Iraq and Syria. Despite the Kurds' aspirations for an independent state and their significant contributions to regional stability, the international community has been reluctant to endorse Kurdish independence. This reluctance stems from a complex calculus of geopolitical interests and concerns about regional stability. One primary reason is the fear that Kurdish independence would set a precedent for other separatist movements. The Middle East is home to numerous ethnic and religious minorities with their own grievances. Granting independence to one group could trigger a domino effect, leading to further fragmentation. Another concern is potential conflict between a newly independent Kurdish state and its neighbors. Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria all have sizable Kurdish populations and view Kurdish separatism as a threat. The prospect of a Kurdish state carved out of their territories is seen as unacceptable. Despite facing centuries of persecution, displacement, and assimilation policies, the Kurdish people have demonstrated remarkable resilience. Their cultural heritage, passed down through generations, has served as a source of strength and unity. Kurdish culture is rich in music, dance, literature, and storytelling. Traditional Kurdish music, characterized by its melancholic melodies and rhythmic dances, has played a vital role in preserving Kurdish identity. Kurdish literature, both oral and written, has served as a platform for expressing Kurdish aspirations and documenting their struggles. The Kurdish language, belonging to the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European language family, is another testament to their cultural resilience. Despite facing suppression, the Kurdish language has survived and thrived, with various dialects spoken across Kurdish-inhabited regions. Kurdish women have also played a pivotal role in preserving and transmitting Kurdish culture, often the keepers of traditional knowledge. The future of the Kurdish struggle for self-determination remains uncertain. While the dream of a unified and independent Kurdistan seems distant, the Kurds have made significant strides in recent decades, particularly in Iraqi Kurdistan. The establishment of the Kurdistan Regional Government in Iraq has provided Iraqi Kurds with a degree of self-rule. However, significant challenges remain. The Kurdish regions continue to face internal divisions, economic woes, and security threats. The relationship between the KRG and the Iraqi central government remains fragile. The international community's stance on Kurdish independence is unlikely to change in the near future. Despite these challenges, the Kurdish people remain resilient, their long history of struggle instilling in them a deep sense of determination.